Hello everybody, this is Howard the TEASERKING coming to you with college week number 5. I'm just going to talk about one game. I just gave you my pick on the other video, but I just wanted to discuss the game and maybe hopefully that'll enlighten you what keys to look for when picking games. Let's talk about Michigan and Wisconsin. Michigan's laying 10.5. Over under 44.5. Michigan's been averaging about, I got it right here. Michigan's been averaging 52 points a game, giving up 13 on defense. Wisconsin's been averaging 30 points a game, giving up only 11 on defense. So you have an over team playing an under team, which makes the over-under very hard, because if Michigan scores and Wisconsin scores a little, you can easily take the 44 and go over 38. The same token, you could go, hey, it'll probably be a low-scoring game, I'll take the under 50. Either one of those could blow up in your face. Michigan, with Peppers running back a punt, or they break a run or a pass, or Wisconsin, breaks a run, all of a sudden you could get a decent score. So the score, I think, will be somewhere between 40 and 50 points. I doubt it'll be 20-0, and I don't think it'll be really that low. I think that they score. Now here's what I talk about with matchups in this game. If you watch Wisconsin against LSU and Michigan State, they beat teams that had no quarterback who could run the ball. So they stacked the line, they blitzed, and they basically took the run away, and neither of the teams could throw, so they beat both teams. Their weakness is their quarterback's not very good, so they're pretty much one-dimensional running the ball, and they can't really, I don't know how well they're going to cover against a good quarterback. So they weren't really tested with a good quarterback against the pass. You'll see that this week. Michigan can throw the ball and run it, and they're smart enough to know when they can't run, they throw. That happened against Central Florida. They started running into an 8-man line. They couldn't go anywhere. Central Florida had speed, and they stopped the run. Their coach was the old Nebraska quarterback, and he knew how to stop the run because he was the quarterback. He knew how to run it. So Michigan couldn't run. They kept running into a brick wall, so they started throwing the ball. They have a good quarterback. They've got great receivers. They've got pretty good balance. So Wisconsin is going to have trouble this week because they're facing a good quarterback. They got Harbaugh, who knows how to read the defenses. He'll know where to go with the ball. When they try the blitzes, he'll already instruct, just dump it over the guy's head and hit the guy easily. When they do their blitzes that Michigan State couldn't pick up. And I didn't see the LSU game, but I'm sure I know what happened there anyway. Then on the flip side, Michigan State played this weak zone against them, and the guys were wide open all over the place. The quarterback had 5 seconds to throw the ball. Michigan State, if they did blitz, they were terrible at it. If they didn't blitz, I don't know why, but they never really covered. Excuse me. If you saw the receivers, they were always wide open. They were always cutting across the middle, and there was nobody within 5 yards of them. The quarterback's sitting in the pocket, and he would throw the ball, and then the defense would come up after the ball was thrown and completed. Michigan plays a tough man-on-man. Jordan Lewis will be all over their best guy. They won't be able to run on Michigan, and they won't be able to pass on Michigan. They won't have the time. Peppers can blitz to get the quarterback off his game, and when he's not blitzing, they're going to have tight man-on-man coverage, so the receivers for Wisconsin aren't going to be able to get open. And this guy's not going to have the time that he had against Michigan State when they either blitzed terribly or didn't blitz at all. I don't know. It was such a pathetic game by Michigan State. Then they got the turnovers. I think Harbaugh will be able to figure out how to handle the blitz, and I'm sure he's working on that. So I would think that they know how to handle the blitz. They'll handle it much better. They're much better at throwing the ball downfield. Jake Butt, Darboh, they got some NFL talent in wide receiver. They might not be able to run on Wisconsin, but that won't matter Harbaugh's smart enough in the Central Florida game to stop it. Michigan's weakness, however, is the pass. Colorado exploited them and showed you can beat Michigan if you can pass the ball pretty well. And when the guy got hurt is when Michigan beat Colorado. If Latufa didn't get hurt, Colorado would have won the game. And to show you it wasn't a fluke, they went to Oregon without Lafuto with the backup, and Colorado won at Oregon. So all of a sudden you start realizing Colorado's a pretty damn good team. They got a lot of offense, to go and win at Oregon, and even to put up 20 on Michigan. I think, 26? Now, that was huge. I mean, most teams are putting up a 10 on Michigan. I don't think Wisconsin will get to 26. So the more you break the game down and the more you see the matchups, you go, Michigan will be able to throw on Wisconsin, I believe, because Wisconsin hasn't seen a quarterback like this. Haven't seen an offense with receivers like it. Now, LSU, I'm sure, has receivers, but they don't have a quarterback, which is what got this guy fired, is he doesn't develop the quarterback. I mean, you got these great receivers, Beckham and all these receivers that go there, and you don't have a quarterback to throw them the ball. The one year they did, they won the title because they could run and throw, and the key is the balance. That's the key to winning. They have a balanced offense. When the defense doesn't know if you're going to run or throw it, you've got them dead, and you're not going to lose. And that's been LSU's problem, but that's not what Michigan can run and throw. And they're going to have a tough time running, but they'll be able to throw. I believe that's Wisconsin's Achilles, because Georgia State was able to throw on them for like 288 yards, and that game was damn close. So I think Michigan throws on them. I think Wisconsin won't be able to throw. I think they'll get pressure. I think the cornerbacks on Michigan are bringing right up there. He's not going to have anybody wide open like he did against Michigan State. And I see Michigan probably winning this game by about 20 points. I think that Michigan can generate enough offense, but I think their defense and the block punts and the punt returns will be enough to make the difference here. I think they're going to it's going to be a very physical defensive game for the most part, but I think Michigan can get a couple of touchdowns throwing the ball to Darboh and to Butts, that they'll be okay getting it down. I think they'll know how to handle the blitz much better than Michigan State did. And with Harbaugh, he'll know what plays to call. And then I just think defensively, I don't think Wisconsin can do anything. If they don't get the turnovers, State fumbled and the guy ran it back for a touchdown. The guy threw 3 interceptions. You're not going to get that from Michigan. Butt's too good. Their receivers are too good. Michigan State's receivers are terrible. They had the one kid who's a freshman who's okay, but the quarterback was terrible and their play calling was terrible, basically. So I think in Michigan's case, they'll be able to throw the ball down the field and generate a few touchdowns. Not a lot, but a few. They'll probably get in the 20s. Wisconsin maybe gets a 10. Maybe they get an interception or something. They won't be able to run on Michigan. Clemens won't do anything. He won't get 50 yards because Michigan will take that away. They'll make the kid pass, but with Peppers blitzing, he's not going to have time, and the way the corners cover, he won't have time. I don't think Wisconsin scores too much here. So the more I'm analyzing it, the more I'm thinking it's probably an under 50, because I don't think Michigan's going to put up 40 points against Wisconsin. I'll be shocked if they get 40. I think they'll get in the 20s, and maybe Wisconsin gets 10 points, so maybe 21-10, somewhere in that neighborhood. 21-6, 24-6 or 10. I think Michigan can get in the 20s with their passing attack, not with their running attack. But their defense will definitely shut down Wisconsin. And it'll show the true Wisconsin because they're not balanced. The quarterback, I mean, he had all day and he had wide open receivers, so whoop-de-doo. But in this case, I don't see, he's not going to have wide open receivers. He's not going to have all day to throw the ball. And Michigan will pass on them, and I think that'll be the difference in the game. That's what got Wisconsin with Georgia State. They had a hard time with that. So my score here is, let's say 24-10 Michigan, somewhere around there. Now, you have a 10.5 point spread. pretty much what do you take here? You get Wisconsin in 16.5. Seems like a pretty good line, like good defensive team. Could be a close game. Michigan might turn it over a little bit. Wisconsin will probably turn it over a little bit. How many punt returners does Peppers get? It gives them good field position. That's another thing. Michigan laying 4.5. It's probably the way to go, but it's tough in this type of game to really take the favorite more than 3. So I don't know. Maybe you go under 50.5. That's tough with Michigan, who's an over team. Or you could go over 38.5, which, again, I don't know if they'll reach it, but they should. Maybe it goes 31-17. It's 48. 24-14 is 38. So 24-17, you got 41. So this is a game, and I wanted to talk about this game specifically. This is when you don't lock the game. This is when you might play it, but this is why you play it for 4 units or 5 units. At best, this is a 5-unit play. I'm not sure which way to play this game. I think my assertion and my assumption would be probably to take Michigan minus 4.5 or go under 50.5. There's a line I see is 44.5. So that'd be the only 2 ways I'd play it. Wisconsin in the trends, 8-0 as a road dog, and 9-0 after last week, winning at State as a road dog. So Wisconsin's a very good road dog to cover. So the 16.5 is probably a good play too. I don't think this game gets a blowout. And then a matter of going over, which 38 is such a small number, but I can see where you won't get that number just because Wisconsin's good defense running the ball. Michigan will have to pass it, but they have a good defense. So it should be pretty much a defensive struggle. So here's where you more or less watch the game, or if you do play it, maybe you play Michigan minus 4.5, but that's tough over 3 in this type of game. You can take Wisconsin 16.5. That's tough because the matchup favors Michigan. And probably the only way I could even play it, and I'm not playing it at all, would be under 50.5 and hope it Peppers doesn't run a punt back and they get the turnovers. That's how you get the overs, the turnovers. If you watch how a team scores 60, there's 4 turnovers, which either led to pick sixes or short drives. And that's how you get an over. So are you going to get the turnovers here? So that's my point. This is why you rank a game a 3 or a 4 unit or a 5 unit play, because there's a lot of risk to it. You don't really know what to do with the game. There's no clear cut, Michigan's going to win by 20, or Wisconsin is a great dog here, or we should go under 50.5 because they both have great defenses. Wisconsin's going to run the ball. Michigan will probably pass the ball, but they'll have trouble scoring, and this game could end 17-10, or this could be a 17-14 game. I mean, that's the point. You don't really. It could go any way. If Wisconsin gets turnovers, then they can score on the turnovers, so they could go 20 yards on a fumble or an interception, and you go from there. So anyway, that's what happens. So it's very difficult to really see what's going on in this game. So that's what I'm trying to explain, why sometimes when you get, like my last video, I took Ole Miss over Memphis because it's a revenge game and Ole Miss has good quarterback. And that's a game that's like a 7-unit play. I'm very confident Ole Miss scores a lot, holds Memphis down. It's a revenge game, so they really want to pound them. And then you can see the difference here is you're not really sure what's going to happen. You think Michigan will win because the corners will stop the receivers. Peppers will blitz, holding the quarterback down. They won't be able to run on Michigan. Michigan won't be able to run on Wisconsin, but they'll be able to throw a little bit. And Michigan's defense kind of, the kid won't be able to sit back, pass, and the guys will be wide open. So he's not going to complete as many. They won't be able to run too well. So Wisconsin's not going to get a whole lot of offense. It'll depend on the turnover. So again, this makes it very difficult. Again, I'll call for a 24-10 Michigan win, somewhere in that 21-13, 24. I think Michigan can get in the 20s. They're not going to get in the 40s like they've been doing. But that's my point. That's exactly what how you analyze the game and the difference and the weakness. Michigan State couldn't throw on Wisconsin. It came back to bite them. But Michigan State could run on Notre Dame. They couldn't run on Wisconsin. Michigan won't be able to run on Wisconsin, but they can throw on Wisconsin. We believe that'll be Wisconsin's weakness because we saw it in the Georgia State game. Maybe it isn't, and again, there you go. But Wisconsin should have trouble because the Michigan secondary will be right up top, and it's going to be hard for Wisconsin to move down the field. So probably the under is the best way to play this game. But again, it's going to be it'll be a very tough game, very defensive game, and that's what I think. 24-10, 24-13, 20 Michigan in the low 20s, Wisconsin, 10, 13 points, depending on how many turnovers they get, which you really can't predict. So that's my theory and my thesis on kind of when you play a game small, how to break it out. And really every game is, can Team A move on Team B? Can Team B move on Team A? Can they stop them? If a team's a good running team, does the other team have a good run defense? Or if a team passes, does the other team have a good pass defense? Or if a team's explosive, does the other team maybe not score too much? There you go. That's what we're looking at. There's a lock. I got an explosive team playing a team that can't score much. They have a decent defense like Nebraska Northwestern. That's what I'm looking for, an explosive Nebraska, a weak offense Northwestern, and Nebraska's, all they had to do was win by 1 point last week. That's what you're looking for. So that's why you kind of stay away from this Michigan, Wisconsin, unless you want to play it under. You kind of have to stay away from it because you really don't know, can Michigan really pass on Wisconsin, or is their blitz going to bother them? Wisconsin's a good team. They're good defensive. But Michigan being balanced will be able to throw on them, and then Michigan's secondary will stop Wisconsin's, and that's kind of, how's Wisconsin going to move the ball? They're not going to be able to. So anyway, there you go. This is how you break a game down and how you develop the unit play, what you're looking for. So Michigan will beat Wisconsin, and if the spread drops under 9, then I'd say take Michigan laying less than 3. It would move up. So in other words, if Michigan was laying 7 here, down to 1, it would probably be a 6 or 7 unit bet because of the matchup. If Michigan was 20, then you take Wisconsin in a 7 unit, getting to 26 because you're not going to blow out Wisconsin. So again, this is where the spread makes all the difference. And here it's 10.5, so a little bit high. It's funny. Don't listen to these radio people. They really don't know what they're doing or what they just talk to hear themselves. But I'm hearing one guy say, why is the spread 10? Why is Michigan 10-point favorite? Well, the spread makes the betting even. It makes the betting even based on the popularity of the team. The way Michigan looks, if they made the game 7, people would bet on Michigan. They get more Michigan betting. At 10, they get enough Wisconsin betting. At what number do they get the Wisconsin bettors? And they're saying it's a 10. And then if they get more Wisconsin bettors, the line moves down to 9 or 8. And if they get more Michigan bettors, it goes to 11 or 12. That's all it is. It's a popularity thing. It's not saying Michigan's 10 points better than Wisconsin. It's saying at this point, we should get enough Wisconsin bettors to balance the Michigan bettors. Because the last thing Vegas wants is everybody betting Michigan. If this spread was Wisconsin -7, everybody in the world would bet Michigan +7, and nobody would take Wisconsin. And that line would end up going all the way to 0, all the way to Michigan -3. That's what would happen. So be careful listening to these outside sources. They really don't know what they're talking about. And it just shows when they don't even know what the line is. It just shows you. And all it does is confuse you. They'll say, oh, I like this team. And you go, oh, yeah, the guy on the radio or on the TV said he likes this team. They don't know. Jimmy Johnson has no clue. He's a coach. Terry Bradshaw, all these guys, they don't really know who's going to win. And that's the point of it. So it's very hard to listen without the matchups. Now, if they start saying, they can pass on them and they got a weak defense and they can't stop the run and it's a power run team, then you can listen to them. Otherwise, there's nothing to listen to. All right, everybody, www.teaserking.com. Like I said, I got a ton of good games going. I got 4 locks going. I'm really looking forward to these all winning and having a real big week. I feel it. I think these are really good matchups this week, so I think we'll make a lot of money this week. Again, www.teaserking.com. Have a great week, everybody. Good luck.